What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and unfortunately, we are in a bit of a danger zone right now, all right, for stocks and crypto. In fact, you can see that even just today, stocks and cryptos were down pretty significantly, right? Stocks were down, cryptos were actually down even more than stocks. A lot of cryptos were down 10% or more, and this is for the same reason, right? People are worried about the Fed raising rates, and now, more notably, something that's happening pretty quickly inflation, right? People are very worried about inflation. And we actually just got a White House report coming out today where Jen Psaki, or whatever her name is, Jen Psaki, however you say it, says that inflation they expect will be extraordinarily elevated tomorrow in the CPI report that we're getting. Okay, so inflation report, CPI, that's coming out 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. Watch out for that and expect quite a bit of market volatility going on while that report comes out. You can see the stock market, unfortunately, has been falling over the past couple of days. Now, inflation has already been on the rise in a pretty dramatic way, right? You can see the inflation for the past year has just been rising and rising. And unfortunately, Jen Psaki and the White House are saying that we're going to see extraordinarily elevated levels above even the elevated levels that we've been seeing for the past while. So inflation is probably going to get pretty crazy. You guys have probably noticed that inflation has been affecting your everyday lives when you go to the gas station. That's actually the main reason why they're saying inflation will be very high, right? They're saying that we are already experiencing higher than desired inflation. And on top of that, in this next report that's coming out, we're going to have higher than wanted inflation because of the whole conflict with Ukraine and Russia and the rise in the cost of oil due to that conflict because Russia wasn't sending out as much oil as they had been prior. So now we're expecting even higher inflation on top of the existing inflation that we've already had. And that's not the only thing that's inflating. We're actually inflating the channel subscriber count right now. So if anyone wants to join up and hit the subscribe button, we're almost at 12,000 subscribers. We'd only need about 100 people to do it to get there. And that would be much appreciated. So enough of that. Now, the price of oil, okay? So we're expecting that inflation will be much higher during this CPI reading. But the price of oil has actually been falling over the past couple of months, right? Ever since, or rather the past couple of weeks, about 1 month, it's been falling for, right? We peaked out around 100 something dollars per barrel. I think $130 per barrel was our absolute peak for WTI crude oil. And fortunately, we're back below 100 now. It's very difficult for the price of oil to stay above $100 per barrel for any significant period of time. And we have fortunately fallen below that. So fortunately, this boost that we're expecting in the next CPI report should only last a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months due to these elevated oil prices. That is as long as oil doesn't continue to rise, right? You can actually see we, unfortunately, over the past year have long-term been uptrending. And this most recent spike was due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. But we have actually been on an overall uptrend. So potentially the price of oil could continue going up. We could continue to see worse than desired inflation, right? That's obvious. We're obviously going to see some of that due to just how much money was printed over the past couple of years. That's what we're suffering from now. The Fed is going to do what they can. They're going to try to raise rates. They're going to try to shrink the balance sheet. They're going to try to be harsh with their monetary policy. But at the end of the day, there's only so much they can do, right? A lot of money's been pumped into the system. We're now dealing with external pressures from Russia and all the oil-related concerns that people have due to that. And unfortunately, there's no great solution that people have to these problems in the near term, right? Overall, I think these problems will solve themselves over the long term, but in the near term, we are expecting an undesirable amount of inflation. Let's just be honest about it. And nobody wants to see this much inflation. And if there were anywhere that I wouldn't want my money to be during an inflationary period like this, it would actually be in cash, right? A lot of people are, unfortunately, they're selling their stocks, they're selling their cryptos, they're selling their assets because they're all worried about inflation. And it does not stand to reason with me, right? I think that when you're worried about inflation, I don't think you should be selling off your assets. I don't think you should be selling off your stocks. I don't think you should be selling off your cryptos because at the end of the day, the value of the dollar, which is represented by this chart right here, is just perpetually falling. Since the 1700s, you can see we've just been falling down and down and down, and the dollar just becomes worth less and less and less, especially in more recent years. I mean, it's been a real long time since we've actually seen the value of the dollar increase in any significant way. And now that we're dealing with all of this inflation, it seems like this is only going to get worse, right? So the last place that I actually want my money is the dollar. Over the long term, I am very content to hold stocks and hold cryptos and hold other assets like gold. Gold is actually doing fairly well over the past year, especially in a high inflationary environment. Gold tends to perform fairly well. You can see gold is actually on the rise over the past couple of months as people have become more aware of the potential inflation that we could be seeing. A lot of people have been flocking to gold. So obviously, I'm in gold. I think that it's a good asset to hold in a high inflationary environment. I'm not recommending anyone else do anything with their money. It's not financial advice. That's just one thing you can do to hedge against inflation. Another potential thing, it's a little bit more advanced, is playing the VIX, right? You can see the VIX, the market volatility index, typically remains at fairly low levels, right? But we are actually on the rise right now as stocks are falling, as people are experiencing a little bit more volatility in the market due to all of the inflation fears, all of the Fed hike raising fears. We're actually seeing the VIX start to rise up a little bit over the past couple of days today, especially. And there's potential that this could continue. Although I will note that currently the VIX is at about right here, right? You can see typically it doesn't stay at these levels for very long. So if you were to play the VIX, it would obviously be a very risky thing to do. Typically, it does revert to a level much lower than this. So watch out for that if you do want to play the VIX. And keep in mind, if you can't actually buy shares of the VIX. You can only trade options with it. So it's pretty advanced. Not recommended for anyone who doesn't know what they're doing. And regardless, not a recommendation in a financial sense in any way, right? No financial advice here, just my opinion. And if you guys appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I just wanted to put this out, let you guys know what was going on in the market, why things were unfortunately falling, right? Why a lot of stocks are unfortunately moving down in a fairly significant way, and what's going on tomorrow, right? The CPI report. And fortunately, it looks like things will be getting better in the future. This is a CPI report that's probably going to be pretty elevated due to all of the oil-related price pressures that we've been experiencing due to Russia and Ukraine. But overall, that should eventually shore itself up. Hopefully, right? Hopefully that will shore itself up. And other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.